morning, and welcome to the Patriot Radio News Hour live on this Tuesday, the 20th of March. I'm Joe Jaquin, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group. And what a glorious day it is. Legal, lawful, constitutional tender. It is what we do. Wealth insurance, as we like to call it, and you better get you some. As the Federal Reserve, the elitist private bankers starting their big meeting today. And everybody's expecting a 1/4 point rate hike. That'll be announced tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, our very first show, the new show coming to the Front Range, starts tomorrow up there in Johnstown at KHNC, The Lion. We're on at 3 o'clock Colorado time up there. We'll actually have the Fed announcement on that show. Don't miss it. It's going to be a great one.
It's going to be a great
Listen, we got all kinds of stuff planned.
It's going to be a great show. And
Colorado's starting to figure out, wait a minute, I can order and not have to pay for shipping?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
You sure can.
Absolutely.
Starting to become a very, very popular sport. Just remember, any of you on the Front Range, if you want to pick up your product at the KHNC studios, you can now do so without a shipping charge. So now you have no excuse not to do business with us.
Right.
We took it all away.
Right. You just have to call in here, place the order.
Yeah, nothing changes. Everything
right.
runs the way it used to. The only difference is now you can pick up and not pay shipping on the Front Range. How about that? 800-951-0592. That beautiful, darling, lovely voice. That's Wendy.
That's me. I'm still so happy that I met everybody. And now when you call in, I can picture you. I can see your face.
See, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's a good thing.
You know,
no, I think
because I really had that body and face for radio. And you know what's so funny is not one person, not one, even disagreed.
Right.
They're all like, you weren't lying.
Yeah, you're right. Because, but I have to look at them every day.
Hey,
well, only 2 days.
It's only 2 days.
Call
them. And listen, I can't handle any more than that.
I can't either.
So.
And today's the first day of spring.
It is.
Yes.
You know what? I also saw 90 degrees.
This week.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I can't wait for 100. Because that means everybody will leave.
Right. All the snowbirds, get out of here. Go. Get off the road.
All you liberals, stay in California, too, please. Please. We don't need you here. What else? Oh, the website at allamericangold.com. Don't forget, make that part of your daily routine. And of course, you know, we got all the social media stuff. Have you seen what's been going on with Facebook, though? Boy, isn't it?
What's it doing?
Yeah, see, you don't know, do you?
No, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm on Facebook.
Yeah, well, they now Facebook, which has had the quote-unquote the great ad revenue that they've been generating, even though people are on Facebook less and less, come to find out, the great ad revenue may have been nothing more than Facebook allowing companies to spy on everybody.
You know what? It's very true. Okay, it is. Because I'll go look at something, I'll click on something and look at it, and then a day later on the right-hand side is that same company.
Well, yeah, they do all that, right? We already know if you go out to certain websites and then all of a sudden these ads are on the outside of it. But this was a little more devious.
What?
This was them gathering information, and usually when they gather information, they leave out the names of the people, but no, not now. Now here it is. This is what Joe Schmuckatelli's up to. Here's all the websites he goes to, and here's what he's doing. I mean, it's creepy.
Ooh, I don't like that.
Yeah, and of course, not telling anybody that there. I think all of us, and I don't know why we accept it, but we do. We know that we're being spied upon. With like Alexa and all these other, the home stuff and all that. They're doing all the. If you got a cell phone, right? I should say these smartphones, and like Wendy said, you click on this, and next thing you know, every time you go online, there's ads for these things that you normally wouldn't be seen, and all that other stuff. But yeah, here's the problem: it's bad. It breaks the trust of, it crosses the line of, I guess, the amount of, I don't know what the word is, spying that we would allow. This was above and beyond, right? It got into some things that most people would be like, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. And then the question arises, can they get the ad revenues that they've been getting if they don't do it? So, but we have it all out there. We got all the social media sites because that's just how it's going. Shame on Facebook. I think they knew better, but I'm sure they don't worry. They'll probably pay a fine and not admit any responsibility, and life will go on. But we got a great show lined up for you. A lot of news out that we are talking about. Big articles about people leaving the blue states and coming to the red. We'll talk about that when we return. 800-951-0592. It's the first day of a 2-day Fed meeting, and I'm telling you right now, this is when you want to get in gold and silver. We have today we got the very predictable, okay, let's sell it because, what are they going to say? And then gold, they've already bounced off the lows, and like I said, we know the bottom comes a week before to a week after. I actually think it's already here. I think tomorrow what we're going to get, now this is, I guess the first meeting for our new Federal Reserve president and Jay Powell, and my guess is we are going to get, hey, we think the economy's doing better, but we're still uncertain about inflation. They may make some light of the trade stuff, and I think we're just going to be, again, I think we'll still hear the data dependent line and blah blah. It's all made up. Do you realize? They just make it up, just like they make up all the numbers. And you know what? I'll tell you right now. You find me one person, just one, that will tell you, here are all my bills this year. If I lived, I'm talking about, I'm going to live the exact same life. In other words, every single day, I'm going to eat the exact same thing every single day that I did the year before. I'm going to drive the exact same amount of miles on my car as I did the year before. I'm going to, go to the doctor the same amount of times I did the year before. In other words, you just you Groundhog Dayed the entire year. Okay, same day, January 1st, 2017 to January 1st, 2018, you did the exact same thing, and you did it for an entire year. Nobody would come back and say, hey, there was inflation was less than 2%. I did the exact same thing. And you know what? It cost me $75,000 in 2017 or 2016, whatever year it was, right? And I did the exact same thing for a year, right? Everything's the same. I ate out at the same place. If I bought groceries, I bought the same thing. I did everything the exact same. Wouldn't that be incredible? They can do it. They don't even have to do it with a real person, right? They could just have, you know what my guess is they actually do have it. Right? They just created a fictitious person, and you just planned out the whole year, and 1 year after the next. Now, that would be the true rate of inflation, wouldn't it be? I would love to know how much more it really costs. If it cost $75,000 last year, would it be $80,000? But you think about Car insurance went up. Health insurance went up. I mean, you start thinking of minimum payment on your credit cards went up, right? All this stuff went up, and they try to say, oh, well, we haven't hit our target of 2%. They just make it up because they're robbing us. When you rob somebody, you actually don't want them to know that you've robbed them. This is why I said it's the greatest heist the world has ever seen. The best loan sharks in the world. It's not the mafia guys, right? We got rid of, I don't know if we totally got rid of the mob, but remember the mob. Hey, you got to pay the fee. These guys are the best. And you know what's so funny? Is they've created the whole billionaire channel. I don't know what, I have DirecTV. So the 350s to 360, really 353 to 359, that's the billionaire channel. Right? And they've created this whole thing based upon, hey, we're robbing you blind, but you don't know it. But we're acting like we're doing it for your benefit. Think about it, right? This is going to be rate hike number 6. It's still at a ridiculously low level, which robbed every saver. Think about it. Well, right as all the big baby boomers got to retirement age, let's rob them of any money they've saved. Right? We're not going to pay any interest, but they've raised rates 6 times. No one's paying more. Not going to get more on your savings account. Just not happening. And you think about how bad it really is. How about this article? And there's something in our meet and greet at the barbecue at the Front Range, man. That was one of the big topics of conversation. California may still love the beautiful weather and beaches. Here's the problem with the beaches. No one can actually afford to live near them. Right? I mean, that's really the problem. All these people, they move to California because they want to be near the beach, and then they figure out, holy crap, I can't actually live near the beach. And then the traffic's so bad, even if you're like 20, 30, 40 miles from the beach, you're like, oh, forget it. It's 2 hours. They may love the weather and the beaches, but more and more they are fed up with the high cost of housing, the high taxes, and they are deciding to flee to lower-cost states such as Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, Texas, right? They're just coming in droves. There's nowhere in the United States you can find better weather. Well, guys, I think Hawaii may argue with that. But let's face it. California got nice weather. They do. They talked to a guy, David Sensor, 65. So he just retired. He's got a fixed income. He's on his way out. He's heading to Las Vegas. Rent here is crazy. Right? Think about that, right? If you had a year lease at the beginning of the year, you got to re-up for the next year. You're paying more. Rent here is crazy if you can find a place. And they're going to tax us to death. That's what it feels like. At least in Nevada, they don't have a state income tax, and every little bit helps. Talking about housing costs, gas prices, taxes. That's why people are running out of this state now, according to the Census Bureau. Middle class and lower income Californians are the ones that are leaving. Well, the super rich, they don't care. They love it. They probably love it. They're like, good, get out of here. Get rid of it. Get them out of here. According to the LA Times poll, they found that the high cost of living is the number one reason. Hey, imagine that. But there's no inflation. Here's the thing that I have. The problem with all these blue state people coming. Listen, don't bring your blue state mentality here. Right? Pretty soon it's going to cost. Arizona's going to act like they're California. The rate at which California has been losing people to other states has accelerated in the past couple of years. According to the latest Census Bureau data, more people moved out of California to other states than people moved into California. In other words, California's got an Illinois problem, right? People are leaving the state. There's less people in the state, which means there's less area to tax. According to the Census Bureau, Texas, Arizona, Oregon, Washington, and Colorado and Nevada are all the recipients of the people from California. And I just pointed that out because there's another article about the number of people looking to secede from their state. Right? We know California, there's more talk about splitting the state up into some wanted anywhere from 2 to 6 states. Then, according, this was an article. Where was it from? From Fox. This was Fox News talking about the number of people that want to form separate states in the state of California. But they said it's not only in California. There's movements now spreading across, and it seems like a lot in the West. There's movements now in Oregon, right? Counties that want to break away from the liberal policies of Portland. There's movements on the way in Washington State, same thing, trying to get away from the liberal mindset in Seattle. We know about Colorado, right? Colorado's got the exact same problem. Now they say there's actually movements now in downstate Illinois. They're like, man, get us out of here. I don't blame you, right? Because they see the writing on the wall. They're like, we're not going to be able to afford to be here anymore. Also, movements now in upstate New York to get themselves separated from New York City. We are completely overwhelmed by the policies in New York City, said State Senator Joseph Robach. He introduced a bill to hold a referendum. In 2015, there was a rally in favoring of carving out a new state supported by more than a dozen groups frustrated by Governor Cuomo. And it goes, I mean, it's so widespread. And you think about what really is happening. Why do you think that is? What is really happening? Then you think about, those bombings that are going on in Austin. See that today? Another one blew up. This one actually blew up in the FedEx facility. And people are mad. People are frustrated. People are upset. And you know what? Here's the biggest thing. You know why? They don't know how to put their finger on it, but you're getting robbed. Get robbed every single day. And tomorrow we're going to hear from the chief bank robber, and people are going to try to tell you, right, why it's a good thing or a bad thing, right? They don't want to tell you what is real, which is their one job. And, and I think about our founding fathers. They knew this. They warned us. If you actually, and listen, it's the most boring reading of all time. But if you read like the Federalist Papers and you read the writings of the founding fathers, it's all there. It's all there. And you know what? They make it really complicated. And I can't tell you how many people have said to me, yeah, Joe, I just don't understand this, or I just don't understand that. And when you talk about this, I don't get it. Because that's what they want. They misrepresent how much they're devaluing the currency. Now you have, and listen, when you hit the breaking point, like Illinois now, California, it's over. They can't pay the bill. And the only thing that they know how to do is what? Tax some more. And now people are leaving because they can't afford to live there. And it's one of those things that, I think about. We saw do you see the Uber, the self-driving Uber, kill the person on Mill Avenue here in town yesterday? You know what was so funny is when I saw the headline, first thing that came to my mind, there's a huge homeless population down on Mill Avenue. I bet you it was a homeless person, and of course it ended up being. And I just started thinking about, we have this huge growing, and it's everywhere. When I was up on the Front Range, people were talking about the huge homeless populations that are popping up, and of course the drug problems and all of these things, and yet they're trying to tell us how great this economy is. Now people are leaving their states because they're like, I can't afford to live here. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back right after the break.
This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report, a daily broadcast from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, a national volunteer organization founded by Phyllis Schlafly and continuing to uphold her legacy by opposing radical feminism and representing a traditional conservative perspective in our nation's capital. Now, the president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, Ed Martin.
On Super Bowl Sunday, football fans awoke to the sad news that Edwin Jackson, a linebacker for the Indianapolis Colts, and his Uber driver were killed by a drunk-driving illegal immigrant from Guatemala. The culprit, who had twice been previously deported, fled the scene on foot, but was later caught and found to have more than twice the legal limit of alcohol in his blood as he drove his pickup truck without a license. Near San Diego last month, U.S. Border Patrol agents arrested 2 illegal immigrant dreamers with DACA privileges who had been making a living by smuggling other illegals into the United States from Mexico. The 20-year-old dreamer was caught driving 2 illegals in his car, while the 22-year-old was acting as a scout to warn when Border Patrol was sighted in the area. These are just 2 of the many recent stories that remind us of the imminent dangers of allowing unchecked immigration. Americans sympathize with immigrants who were brought here as young children, but not the adults who illegally brought them here. Still less do Americans want the dreamers to import their distant relatives under the process known as chain migration. This process was explained well by the Harvard professor George Borjas, himself an immigrant, in the New York Times. Our current system lets a new immigrant eventually sponsor the entry of her brother, who can then sponsor the entry of his wife, who can sponsor her father, who can sponsor his sister, and so on. Borjas continued, does it really make sense for one entry today to eventually lead to a visa for the immigrant's sister-in-law's aunt? Obviously not, which is why Americans oppose letting new immigrants import relatives beyond members of their immediate family. President Trump has insisted that any deal for DACA must include provisions limiting family reunification to an immigrant spouse and minor children. Democrats have refused to accept this reasonable restriction, which means there likely won't be a deal anytime soon.
This has been the Phyllis Schlafly Report from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. As President Trump fulfills his campaign promises, his accomplishments on trade, immigration, the economy, and protecting the unborn should be celebrated, not ignored or diminished. To track these victories, go to phyllisschlafly.com. and find out what's next for the Trump presidency at phyllisschlafly.com. Thanks for listening to the Phyllis Schlafly Report.
So let's put it in perspective. If you can't afford to live in the city you live in, then you move. You move farther away, right? You don't live in Scottsdale, you live in North Phoenix. And then if you can't afford North Phoenix, well, then I'm going to move to, maybe you move to Surprise, or you move to Apache Junction, or, you just keep moving farther away, or you either move farther away or you move into less desirable areas of town. Then when you can't afford to do that anymore, right, well, I just can't afford to live in the state, right? You got to move to a less expensive state. My question is, what happens when none of us can afford to live in the United States anymore? Where are we going? You know what? Maybe we should just do this. We're talking about, the tariffs and the trade wars. By the way, another reason, here's what I'm really excited about. I really think we're going to get a very balanced Jay Powell. And then by balance, he's not going to be super dovish, and he's not going to be super hawkish. He's going to kind of be in the middle. Everyone's going to feel a little better. And then we're supposed to get the first round of proposed tariffs on the Chinese. That's supposed to come out Friday. I think we're going to see an interesting move in the markets this week. So we got a lot of things queued up, most of which I view are very bullish for gold. Rate hikes good for gold. The statement and after the press conference after will kind of determine they're going to try to interpret his words. Is he going to say moderate, moderately, modest, right? Which for most of us think that all means the same thing, but somehow they'll be something different. But I don't think it's going to be anything too hawkish, and I think that will help drive gold and silver. And then I think the releasing of what the tariffs may be, $60 billion worth of tariffs on China on Friday, it's going to be an interesting week. But as I was talking about, where would we go? You think maybe with this that we could maybe call a timeout and trade? Can we? You don't like the NFL draft? Hey, can we trade? We'll give you California and Illinois. You know what? I'll tell you what. We'll throw in New Jersey for good measure, and we'll just take some random cities in Mexico and just make a trade. Hey, you take all this debt and all this other junk, and we'll come over there. That'd be great. I'd sign up for that. I mean, because it's getting, when people are coming here, I don't know what you think. It's not cheap here. I was up in Colorado. Is not cheap. And I just keep thinking about all of the debt we keep piling on and piling on and piling on, and eventually you got to start paying for it. So, and I'm going to you now. This has become a weekly occurrence where I read to you the bond auctions, and I know for a lot of you, it's not complicated. Okay, the United States every single week we have to sell hundreds of billions of dollars of debt every week. Most of it, the vast majority of it, is done in very short increments, right? 30-day, 90-day, 6-month T-bills, up to 2 years. Most of the debt that we roll over is what we call short-term debt. And then you got the longer term, the 5, the 7, the 10, and the 30 years. But I just want to point out what's happening on the interest rate. And this is very important for all of us, because this signifies how much more expensive all of this debt is getting. Interest rate on short-term Treasury bills rose again yesterday. The Treasury Department auctioned $51 billion in 3-month bills. The rate last week was 1.67. The rate this week, 1.78. Going up a tenth a week. And again, people aren't going. That's why rates go up. Why do rates go up? Because, I don't want it. 51, I don't want it. Oh, you're going to pay a little more? All right, I'll do some. Another $45 billion in 6 months bills. I mean, we're auctioning on one day. That's $96 billion. The discount rate went from 1.85 to 1.95. It was the highest since the Bills averaged in August 18th of 2008. By the way, then we are now, about 7 basis points away from taking out that high, which will probably be hit next week. And so now when we look at what is happening and we talk about now the Federal Reserve is going to hike rates again, right, which drives these rates even higher. And they're trying to tell you, oh, man, the economy's doing great. It's doing okay. I wouldn't call it great. I mean, I don't know what GDP in the first quarter is going to be, but it's somewhere around 2%. I mean, that's not great. It's okay. And you think about now all of a sudden we have all of these rising debt levels and what it costs to pay for all of this stuff. And you're going to find out really quick how big of a problem the United States really has. The Chinese aren't coming. Matter of fact, they've been gradually decreasing the amount of bonds that they buy. And they've been doing it. Here's what they don't tell you. They've been doing this for 5 years. Just a little bit here, a little bit there, and it goes up, it goes down, but the trend is down. The Japanese, they got their own problems. And then you start thinking about what's it going to cost, and this is what happens. Where are you going? I mean, some people we know some. We got customers, right? They've gone to Panama, they've gone to Costa Rica, they've gone here, but most people aren't doing that. Where are you going to live where you actually can afford it? It's a debt problem is why we can't do it. And we're going to all figure it out together. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592. Treasury yields, and especially at the lower end where most of the debt is sold. Discontinuing, it's costing us a fortune. Right, the debts are piling up. We're racking up trillions and trillions, and eventually, right, we're going to have to pay for it. And there's only one way to do it. Well, I guess there's a bunch of different ways, but the one way they like to do it, right, eventually they just take it from us. And if you have gold and you have silver and you've been smart and you haven't fallen into the trap, you'll be able to tolerate a little better. Because let's say no one's going to like it. Let's be clear on that. Right? Even if you own, $1 million, $2 million, $3 million in gold, you're not going to like it. But make no mistake about it. When you see all of these other central banks bringing their gold home, buying gold, they hate gold. They're part of the fiat money society. And when you start seeing them putting it away, I mean, they don't want to make a big deal about it. China doesn't even want to tell you what they've done. I've got a feeling that if China came out and actually told us how much gold really they've been buying, right, Wall Street would probably be down several thousand points. Gold would probably be up several $100 at least. And just remember this. They hate gold. They hate it. They want you to believe that it really it's not money, right? Remember the Ron Paul, Ben Bernanke interview? Man, I miss Ron Paul. I do. Jay Powell's going to testify in front of Congress. No one's going to, lob them softballs. No one really, half the people on the committees don't even understand anything about the central bank, don't even know how it came into existence, don't even know that it's really nothing more than robbing of the American public. But Ron Paul knew. Asked Ben Bernanke that great question, is gold money? Constitution says it is. Remember, Ben had a pause, think about it, and then he said it wasn't, right? Even though it's been money for 5,000 years. And you got to ask yourself, why are they doing it? It's not what they're supposed to do. Hey, money, gold's not money. Why would they be buying it if it's not money? Why would they all of a sudden, after 90 plus years, say, you know what, hey, I think it's time we bring the gold back home? And remember, I keep telling you, these are planned. This is planned. Right? They know that, you know what, my guess is they already know when. We just got to sit there and we say, hey, I don't know when, but in the next 10 years, it's here. And all of these central banks are bringing the gold in, and they're buying the gold, they're repatriating the gold. What do you think they're getting ready for? And really, you got to start asking yourself, listen, there's only one reason not to have any. If you can't afford it, you can't afford it. Right? There's so many. I mean, I probably picked the worst thing. You know, Eric, this is why he was so much smarter than me. Right? He figured it out a long time ago. I picked the wrong thing. I'm going to go sell cars because everybody needs a car. You think about gold and silver, about 70% of the people out there are living paycheck to paycheck. They couldn't afford to buy any if they wanted to. So, I know, let's pick something 70% of the people can't even buy. And then the other 30% or so, right, maybe 1% of you are out there smart enough to figure out you need to buy some. And you know what really gets me is all of this is happening, and yet when you turn on 353 or 355 or 357 or 359, by the way, those are the channels of the stock market, no one says a word. They come out there and they tell you how great everything is. Well, Facebook, you know, look at the revenues. Look at what they did to get them. I heard again today that, the tariffs are going to cost American jobs. Actually, no, free trade cost us jobs. And they misrepresent, and now the Federal Reserve, right, they're supposed to somehow, they've got this magical power to be able to fix the economy. Really, the only power that they really have is the power of devaluation. That's it. And guess what? They use it. Right? They go, full employment. No, full employment isn't. They have no control over employment. They like to pretend that they do. And they've convinced everybody out there that they do. They don't. Business is higher when business is good. Period. And they like to say, by lowering the rates, we make business better. No, you don't. Lowering the rates allowed you to steal more people's wealth, and this is it. This is the point. And guess what? Can anybody argue that America is more broke today than they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40? You can't argue it. Problem is, 320 million Americans can't leave the country. Maybe you can leave the state of California. Maybe you can leave the state of New York. Leaving the country, that's a little harder. Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment on a Tuesday. Another day, another retailer, Claire's, files for bankruptcy on 100 stores. Add it to the pile. Going out of business. Did you notice gas prices, at least here in town, jumped again overnight? By the way, crude oil's up $1.26 today. I don't know why. The dollar's a little stronger. Gold's taking back yesterday's gain. So gold's down 6, back 13.11, back where it was yesterday. The Dow was down almost 400 points yesterday. It's up 100 right now. But again, everybody, we got to wait for the last hour. Today's special, I got a really good one. I've got some half-dollar rolls. I don't have a lot of them, but I got them. They're here, they're live, they're in stock. $130, and they're loaded with Walkers. So you're going to get, and it's a mix. There's Walkers, Franklins, and Kennedys, but it's over half the bag is a Walkers. I mean, I saw dates from the 1918, 1920, all the way through the 20s. A lot of World War II dates, 41, 42, 43. Even some of the Great Depression, which are really tough. You don't see those very often. Rolls of $50. So you get 20 $50 in a roll. They're $130 today at 800-951-0592. That is the toll-free number. On the gold side, $10 Liberties, and again, these are also live in stock. $10 Liberties at $675 at 800-951-0592. That's $13.50 an ounce, and I've got a funny feeling that's going to look real attractive by the weekend. U.S. $10 Liberties at $675. Rolls of silver $50 at $130. 800-951-0592. And don't forget, Colorado, tomorrow we kick off the brand new hour from 3 to 4 tomorrow. And here's the great part. We'll have that Fed meeting for you in that second hour. Patriot Radio News Hour. I'd like to thank everybody for letting us into your lives who've been with us for over 2 decades now, working on decade number 3. Everybody up on the Front Range that has gave us just such tremendous support and opening of our new office there. Remember now in Colorado, if you don't want to pay shipping charges, you can pick up your product at the radio station. Just call us here at 800-951-0592. And we'll walk you through the process. It's going to be real simple, and we'll be able to help everybody now. Now there's no more excuses, right? You don't have to buy from somebody you don't know, some local guy that doesn't give you what we do. You can do business right with us and not have to pay the shipping anymore. Rolls of $50, $130. So you're going to get 20 $50, and there are lots of Walkers. You're going to get probably at least over half the roll will be Walkers, all kinds of different dates, some Franklin, some Kennedys as well at $130, and, of course, the U.S. $10 Liberties at $675 at 800-951-0592. So we'll have the Fed meeting coming up tomorrow. We'll see what that's going to bring. We'll see what interest rates do. It'll be very interesting how the United States does with their debt. And speaking of debt, just how much faster is the debt rising versus the economy? That'll be tomorrow. Patriot Radio News Hour. Have a great Tuesday.